Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
This is Peach, and she did not want to be off camera for this review. Isn't that right? Are you going to contribute anything to this review? Do you have any hot takes on this movie? No? You're just here for views? Cool. So anyway, this is the post-Shriek Out reaction in which we review a brand new horror film every single day all throughout October. And this is Viewer Request Week, in which we are taking requests from you, the audience. And this is our final Patreon review. It is coming from Tim Trinka, who wants to review Pyewacket. And I had never heard of this film.
Neither have I.
But it was made by IFC, so that means super indie. Not A24 indie, but close. Like in that same ballpark there. You know this wasn't an A24 horror film because it actually had a conclusion to it. I'm kidding. There are some A24 horror films that have conclusions to them. By the way, I saw a lot of requests for films that we have already reviewed, and somebody requested that we review Hereditary. We already reviewed that, so that's already been done. Yes, Peach, high five to you too.
Although we've been doing this for so long, I wouldn't be surprised.
Eventually, we are going to loop back around. Like, someone requested Poltergeist. We've already done that one. So, we're starting to get to that point where Viewer Request Week, we're not going to be able to say no to people anymore when they request things that we've already done. It's like, oh, we've kind of already done all this stuff. But anyway, yeah, Pyewacket, it won all kinds of awards on the indie circuit. And here's the thing. I do like this. I do think it's good. It just feels a little unrefined to me. And what it reminded me of is that back when I was in college, my school had a film festival, and it was actually one of the bigger film festivals in the Southeast. So we actually got tons of submissions, and I was part of the review board. So we would have to watch these hundreds of movies that come in. And you know what? There's a lot of really talented young filmmakers out there. But they don't quite feel like they're there just yet. There's so many young filmmakers that would watch for part of this festival that would always feel to me like, yeah, they've got something. And in a couple of years, they're going to be great, but they're just not quite there yet. That's kind of what Pyewacket reminded me of. There's a lot of good stuff in here, but man, if somebody just came in and went, just tweak that just there. There you go. Now it's fixed. Like, it's like when somebody comes in and like a frame is like just tilted offside, but you can't quite tell that just from looking at it. It just doesn't quite look right, and then someone just goes, eh. It's like, oh, okay. That's kind of what this movie reminded me of.
Now, I didn't see this movie.
You did not. We should go ahead and point that out. So
I apologize for not seeing a lot of these movies. I'm starting a class, so I won't be able to watch.
We've already explained that to people. Sure. Yeah. So what this movie is that it is a Canadian horror film about this. I bet you guys thought I had a joke lined up for that. No, I do not. It's just a Canadian horror film. So nothing wrong with that. And it is about these kids at school, and they are really into witchcraft. Like, they are the super goth kids. But I will say, while they do take their gothism very far, I knew kids like that in school. Like, they do not take them to that point in which I go, no one is actually like that. These are stereotypes of goth kids. I looked at these kids and went, yeah, I remember kids like that. And there is a book out that they are a fan of, and it is all on witchcraft. And we follow this one girl whose father recently died, and their mother is going through some really tough times dealing with that. And by tough times, I mean she is borderline abusive. She is a complete asshole. Like, there was a moment at the beginning of this film in which she goes in to tell the mom that she's going to go and hang out with her friends. And the mom, she's clearly just, she's been drinking. And she's like, I don't care, whatever, I don't care at all. It's like, okay, don't care if your kid goes out and just disappears, fine, whatever. And then later on in the film, there is a moment in which the mom just goes on this big tirade about just, it's impossible for me to get over your father's death when I'm just constantly having to look at you, guy, just see him in your face. I wish I could just rip your face right off. And I know here's going to be the divide for a lot of people on this film. I know a lot of people are going to watch this movie, and they're going to see that, and they're going to go, that is super exaggerated. While I don't think that the line delivery was all that good, I have known people who when they were living with their parents, they had abusive relationships with their parents, and their parents would say things on a regular basis to them like that. So I looked at it and was like, it's not that far off. Like, again, it really just kind of feels exaggerated because the line read was not all that great, but it is kind of accurate to being in an abusive relationship with your parents. It's the kind of thing that I have heard kids say that their parents have told them. Hell, I used to know someone personally who I remember their parents saying to them very close things to this. So it's like, yeah, all right. Not my parents, by the way. I want to make that clear. When I say I used to know someone like that, I'm not referring to myself on that one. I had to go in here and clarify that. But she then decides, the kid then decides, she has, again, it's going to be one of those things which I feel like it's going to be a divide for the audience on this. Because she then has that moment in which she goes to her room and she's screaming, I wish you were dead! Just getting super pissed off at her mom. And I know a lot of people are going to look at that and be like, oh, Jesus, such an exaggerated, stereotypical, angry teenager. I've had that experience myself. I was about to say, if you knew a decent number of teenagers back when you were a teenager, you knew a handful of them who had that experience themselves. This is not exaggerated, it's pretty accurate. That's one of the biggest flaws of this film isn't the film itself, it's just that so many other films have tried to portray these exact same types of characters so poorly, a lot of people are going to look at this and go, oh, it's another one of these things. But I looked at this and went, yeah, I've seen this a lot in other films, I've seen it done badly in a lot of films. But speaking from people who I knew growing up, yeah, I've seen this. This is actually pretty accurate, and this is more accurate than a lot of other films try and portray it. So anyway, the goth kid who is into witchcraft and has been reading a book up on witchcraft, wants their mom dead, she goes out into the woods, tries to perform a ritual in order to curse the mom or something. And what the film is about from there on out is that, yes, something is coming to kill her mom now. The spell actually worked, and the kid is realizing, oh shoot, I should have done that. I was wrong to do that. And this is where I start going back and forth on the film. Because I was with this film up to this point. I was really with this film. Because I was like, all right, this is actually a pretty good setup. It's that, you got a kid in an abusive relationship with their parents, and now they try and summon something out to try and take revenge for them, but they realize, oh shoot, I really shouldn't have done that, and I need to take that back, and okay, how do I reverse this curse? I thought that was very fascinating because we always see the point of view of the person who gets cursed in horror films. You never see the person who created the curse and is like, oh shoot, that's wrong, and I should have done that. I need to go back on that. But here's where it kind of falls apart on me is, yes, you do start to see things happening throughout the film, but they are so small. The progression of things that happen, it's not until the third act that you start to actually see some things and then you go, oh, okay, I think things are actually happening in here. The progression needed to be much smoother and they needed to ramp it up more. It really kind of reminded me of, what was it? Drag Me to Hell. Drag Me to Hell, I think, is a great horror film. I don't think we've ever even talked about it on this show. But it is about this person who gets cursed, and stuff starts slowly, building up, and starts, the curse starts increasing from day to day, and really spooky, creepy things begin to happen to this girl. And I looked at this and went, yeah, nothing's really happening in here. I mean, maybe there's a thing happening. It's not until we're close to the end that stuff starts happening, and it is so... I'm not going to say it's light things that happen, but this is an indie film, so they didn't really have access to a bunch of stuff that they could really use for this. But I looked at what they did here, and all I could think was, yeah, but I've seen people do way more with way less. So the scares themselves aren't that creative. I mean, granted, again, like I said, I'm not saying they need to come in here with a bunch of special effects and do all kinds of weird, crazy stuff like that. No. I get this as an indie film. I get they didn't have a lot of budget. But even without a lot of budget, you could have been more creative with what you did. There isn't a lot that really happens here. There's a moment in which they hear stuff moving around on the ceiling, on the roof. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, that is for the first thing that happens, pretty good. You hear things up there on the roof, but there's nothing up there. Okay, that's pretty good. But then the second thing that happens is that the girl is asleep in her bed one night, and like a big shadowy figure walks in and just kind of stands over there and stares at her. Okay, but it's just kind of walking around. You could have done more with like how it moves, like maybe do some reverse animation on, not reverse animation, but
reverse filming.
Yeah, reverse filming on it. Would you have the person walk in backwards and then walk backwards into the closet and close the doors? And then you just reverse that so that they walk out the exact same pattern that they did, but now it looks kind of like jerky. It doesn't quite look natural. That's like a really easy way to, when you don't have a budget but you need to like capture like something looking really creepy and freaky. You could have done some small stuff like that in there. And there's like a moment in which she's like telling her friends about like, okay, something's going on. I did something wrong with this. And one of the girls like, all right, I'll come by. I'll check this out for you. I'll take a look at it. And she's like the even more gothy, like, she's like the badass goth one. Like, nothing bothers me. Nothing gets to me. And then, of course, you see like, she's freaking out. It's like, no, take me home. I don't want to be here anymore. So I thought that was pretty good that, you know, the one who nothing gets to me, I'm the badass of the group, she's now panicking and asking to be taken home later on in the film when she comes over to check this stuff out. But we never see anything that happens with her. Like, it literally, like, goes from them going to bed to coming up in the morning. She's like, I gotta get out here, I gotta get out here. It's like, you could have done some stuff. Like, there's something you could have done. Like, I mean, you're out in the woods where you're filming this. Have a moment in which she like just looks out the window and you see something kind of like moving out there. So like very small things could have made the progression of this curse much bigger. And the other thing that didn't even really occur to me until like a day after I had watched this film was, yes, handshake Peach. Yes, thank you, Peach. It was that this curse is about this monster or witch or something coming to kill the mom. We never see anything from the mom's point of view.
Like, is the monster's name the Pyewacket?
Yes, Pyewacket is the name of the thing that she summons. Which, I will be honest with you, I did not even realize that until close to the end. And they had even said Pyewacket a couple times in here. I was like, I guess that's just a magical spell. It's not until close to the end that they actually say that's what it is.
Because, like, it sounds like Native American, or I guess in this case, Native Canadian, indigenous, like, folklore.
North American, yeah.
North American folklore, like something like that.
It definitely seems like that, yes. So, which makes me wonder, like, I've seen J-horror, I've seen K-horror, I've even seen, like, some Russian horror films. I've never seen Canadian horror films, and I'm wondering, is, like, witchcraft a much larger thing up there? I'm wondering if that's... I'm kind of intrigued now. Like, what are themes of Canadian horror films? I've never really seen any, which is weird since they're just, you know, they're one country away.
It's like just way up, just up north. You know,
exactly.
Like
Yeah, I'm very intrigued now about like what are some Canadian like folklore horror stories up there. But yeah, we never see anything from the mom's point of view, and when we're supposed to be concerned about something coming to get the mom, we shouldn't only be focusing on the daughter. I mean, yeah, focus on the daughter. She's the protagonist. Her story is about her trying to reverse this. But you get that feeling like something's coming for the daughter, not coming for the mom. I will say, though, towards the end of this film, they actually do some kind of creepy things in, like, the final moments. And there's kind of an interesting twist to the whole thing that I'm not going to go ahead and spoil. It's on Hulu for anybody who wants to watch this. I know that I'm coming in here and not praising it all that much, but it is actually pretty decent. It is, if you've watched a bunch of other things and you're kind of intrigued by witchcraft as a subject for horror films, yeah, I would definitely say check this out. It is definitely worth watch. Another thing, I think the acting in here is pretty darn good. And also the lighting and basically just the mood of the film, you know.
the atmosphere.
Yeah, the atmosphere, like the lighting, the score, like everything hits the tone that they're going for, which is really kind of dark and dreary. Another thing I will say, though, that I kind of have a problem with is that, you know, she summons out this thing to come and kill her mom, and then, like, immediately the next day, the mom is much nicer to her. Everything is so much better. The mom never says anything even close to that stuff ever again throughout the entire film. She's trying to be nice and friendly. It's like, oh, of course your friends can come over and everything. And all I can think is, nobody, like, no abusive figure in your life is going to go from being that bad to that good and never swing back the other way. Like, yeah, you can be incredibly mean one day and then incredibly nice the next day, but this establishes that there's some kind of a pattern of going back and forth, and they never go back. They're never mean or anything ever again. In fact, even like when they apologize for the thing that they said, they quickly kind of like brush it away, like, oh yeah, that's just don't even worry about that. Anyway, let's never speak of that again. And all I could think is, this film would be so much more interesting if the daughter like goes, oh, this was bad, I need to take this back, I need to completely reverse this thing. But then the mom would do something again that makes the daughter kind of go like, or do I? Like some kind of internal struggle within the daughter.
Like maybe the Pyewacket like possess the mom to make her nice in order, I don't know.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Honestly, the shift from bad to good is so extreme and so quick with the mom. I actually thought that might be what it is. I actually thought that like maybe Pyewacket has already taken over the mom, and now it's like a skinwalker kind of situation where like she's imitating the mom. Like the mom has been dead for days now. Pyewacket took care of that in like 12 minutes. And now it's replaced the mom, and like that's what, like I kept thinking maybe that's what this is going to be, because that shift is so quick and it never goes back. And yeah, there's just more interesting things you could have done with this. What they did was alright, but it is sadly one of those films in which I did have to look at them and go, you could easily have made this a little bit more interesting by doing this. Like maybe you could have spiced up a little bit here. And again, like just the progression of the scares and what they do with the scares. Like there's so many just small things you could have done here to make this a little bit better. But like I said, it feels unrefined, but it feels like the filmmakers and the actors all have promise. It feels like, all right, I want to see the next thing you guys do. I want to see like, you know, you guys, you got this under your belt. Now take what you learned from this and now kind of progress a little bit more, grow a little bit more, make something a little bit better, and okay, all right, let's see what you do there. Yeah, I definitely think that this is a filmmaker who has promise. And I am definitely interested to see the next stuff that they do. But this, like I said, it reminded me of when I was watching all of those things being submitted for the film festival. It was like, wow, there's some really cool, interesting things. I've never really seen a lot of stuff like this. But, you know, could be like, you guys, you're just starting out. You're just starting out. There's definitely some better things. Like this feels like a really good student film is what this feels like to me. But yeah, so like I said, it's up on Hulu. You can watch it there for free. Totally worth giving it a look. Especially if you are intrigued by films about like witchcraft. There aren't a lot of horror movies about that. At least none that are kind of like ground level witchcraft films. Like if you want like someone flying around on a broomstick casting big crazy spells, yeah, okay, there's films out there for that. But I'm talking about the like, okay, I went out into the woods and poured milk into a bowl and now a thing is happening. Like, okay, yeah, like nothing really like that. So if you're intrigued by anything like that, I definitely would recommend this. I was going to say one other thing in here, and I've completely forgotten what it was. Oh yeah, the only other kind of like complaint I have about this film is that it's very odd to me that this kid in witchcraft reads this book on witchcraft, and it's not like she discovers this ancient tome. This thing is in Barnes & Noble. Like, yeah, she literally goes to like a book signing for the author at the beginning of this film. Although
nowadays Barnes & Nobles are starting to like fade out, so who knows?
Yeah. Now that is where you go to find ancient lost tome. But no, yeah, this thing is like, it is easy to find. It's got a photo of the author on the back, just like a sweater vest. Yeah, and all I could think was, okay, if these spells in this book are real, and just any girl across the country could do this, you know there would be an epidemic of witchcraft going on all over the place. Like, I needed some kind of an explanation about why it's like, okay, I need just something that kind of like implies why this is actually working, because no way could this just work for anybody who does this. So yeah,
maybe like it's her like DNA or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, like she's got like a history, like witches are in her family or something like that, or like the land that she's on. Like, because during this film they do move to a new house. I was like, okay, like maybe she finds like a symbol out there or something when she's in the woods. She goes, oh, I saw that in the book that I bought. Something like that. Yeah, it was a little bit like, okay, questions, many questions. But yeah, again, I I think it's an alright film. I think it's pretty darn decent. So yeah, I hope that you guys check it out. I hope that you enjoyed. We only have one more day in the viewer request week coming up, and that is actually going to be a very different type of horror film. So I hope that you guys come back for that one. And as always, happy Halloween. Bye.
Bye.
We'll give you another high five. Will we give it another high five? No.
No.
All high fived out. All right, fine.